What's up, saber dudes and saber ladies? I've got another of my favorites in my collection. One that I wanted for a very long time. When I was a kid, that was like one of the ones that I always liked was the Luke Hero. I mean, back when you had like the sling out extension lightsabers that we used to play with, jump on trampolines, and I was like, I am Return of the Jedi. But it was one of my favorites, and I wanted one for a long time. I had one when I first started. Excuse the throat, I got like a cold coming on or something. But I had one. I believe it was an Ultra Sabers, and it's much bigger actually. Well, it's hilarious. I don't have it close, but it's I ended up getting a control box from like an LS6 and putting it on there, and like I was happy with that for a while. And then I was always on the search though for a better one, just because it was okay. The soundboard was always kind of iffy. It was like an old V3, a Nano Biscotti V3 that was always, I could never get the settings right. I think something was probably wrong with the sensors, with the motion sensing, because like no matter how I tweaked it, it wasn't the chassis, it was nothing. It was like the board was just always like false swinging, and I just never was really happy with it. So time went on, and I collected a lot of different sabers and just waited for, a run of something that I really wanted. I always wanted the KR Hero. I thought that was really cool. And of course Vader's Vault does, they did their runs of heroes with Evolution Arms, and that was just super cool heroes. But this is the Lukianoff Creepy Uncle, if I'm saying that right. I believe that's how everyone says it. Lukianoff, Dennis Lukianoff. He missed out on the first run, and I was like, dang it, I don't know what happened. I was just, because I've always kept my eyes open for a hero. And the second run came up, and I was like, you know what? That's cool with me. Like, it just aligned right. I was like, I was okay with missing the first run. The timing was better on the second run. So I got it, and it was last January. This last January, I got it in the mail, and I was just blown away at how nice it was when I got it out of the box. I think I was filming a movie, I think in my town. I do a lot of production work, but I think it was working. It was in between like me going somewhere, and I was like, I gotta stop by, or it was like my day work, and then I was leaving to go to shoot that movie that night, and in between that, I stopped by the post office to pick it up because they were like, you guys weren't home, and we returned it, which was BS. It was just a little rain in the post guy. I didn't want to get off. I hope he's not listening. It wasn't my normal post guy. He was sick that day. They had a replacement. He was lazy. Anyways, I pulled it out of the box like in the parking lot of the post office, and I was just like, holy cow. I couldn't believe how slim it was. I mean, it was just it's so much smaller, and like it's just petite, and in a good way. It's just, it feels classier, and all the lines were, and it was so smooth and shiny, and it was one of the only hilts that I kept clean for a long time. Normally I get them and I'm like, okay, too shiny, gotta go. Weather it up a little bit, sometimes a little more than normal, but I like medium weathering. I think it just looks the best on a lightsaber. I think it's natural. So I kept it there, clean, shiny for a long time, and then I finally decided that it was time to do my thing once I started to get everything for the install. So I waited for the CFX to come out. Originally I was going to do a prism in it, so I have Robert Sotomayer's chassis, Creepy Uncle chassis design, and I just modified it to fit the CFX. You don't really have to modify it that much. The CFX is not that much bigger in width than the prism, but I modified that. Got the speaker. It's kind of a pain to open up because it has one of these speaker pods that you have to line up just right. I may go in and figure out another system. I mean, it works. It's just it's a process to open up, and it's fixed in there, especially when you got the control box. Excuse me. When you got the control box fixed to like the wires, like it's kind of a tricky install to do because you got your battery up here, and then this is neopixel too. That was another reason why I spent so long on it. Was I didn't know how I was going to do the neopixel because I wanted to make sure it was good. I didn't want it to be, the first few aren't lit up. I wanted it to be just a beautiful light coming straight out, but have enough blade depth to not wiggle, that blade wiggle that you can get with a thin neck. So the battery here, the heats, the PCB for the neopixel, the wires all run down there, and then the PCB 3D, or not PCB, the 3D printed switch control box, I think from Stoke, is in there with the 2 lights. I put my own 2 blinking LED lights in there, 2 tactile switches, recharge port, speaker. So it's all like, once you put it together, I was like, like everything fit, and I was like, that'll do. So here's the CFX. Well, first of all, one of those display stands from Sith Lord Sabers. Again, I think it's Sith Lord Sabers. I don't even know if he has his Etsy shop anymore, but it was really cool. They were so cool. I wanted to buy a bunch from them. I wanted to see more, but yeah, I'm not sure if it's open or if it's on break. But so I did the brass parts with aluminum, or not aluminum, brass black, which is basically like an aluminum black. Same process. Did that, and then a little bit of aluminum black on the hilt, but then I took it down a lot, so you'll only see a little bit of black in the crevices. Oh, this pommel. Completely forgot how cool this pommel is. When I got it, I was like, oh no, I ordered the wrong one. I ordered just a show cap. The vents are in the rings, and this was one of the first ones. I think Roman's Props does it, but with their Obi-Wans. But at the time I was like, oh no, I goofed it. And then when I looked at it in the car and saw it in it, like, because again I was sitting in my car like about to go to work, and I was like, where are the vents? Like, because I saw the lights coming through it, and they're literally in those rings. It's really cool design. So this thing's solid, feels great. Yeah, so CFX 10, and I have it on a quick ignite setting, CFX, once I found that out, because I like the boot sounds, but sometimes I don't want to listen to the boot sounds. I know that sounds kind of particular, but like sometimes I'm like, I don't want to sit there and press a button and listen to, Vader or somebody speak a lot. I just want to get right to it. So that's what the quick ignite does. It's really cool. It's like QK ignite in the config, and you just go from 0 to 1, and it basically it'll be a delay once you press the button, and then it'll cut on. Like it skips the boot sound, so you have just a.
You are unwise.
I was wrong.
To lower your defense.
I was wrong. That's a pre-on that I had. So that's not the boot sound. That's the boot up. Oh, and then. Because why not? So yeah, that's actually a pre-on. So you press it.
You are unwise to lower your defense.
Not blinkies. Sorry guys, I gotta get a better lighting system. These shiny hilts, these are hard to show off some. You can kind of see them dancing there. Alright.
Sound bank selection.
I just tricked this out to melee The Last Jedi. Or not The Last Jedi, Return of the Jedi. Because I mean, technically this is a Last Jedi hilt, but I mean, I don't see why you can't throw a bunch of Last Jedi. Gosh darn it. Return of the Jedi fonts and everything. I mean, I just made it, it's a hero special,
I am a Jedi, like my father before me.
I think this is a Jesse Kirkbride font. And it might even be like the Obi-Wan sound font, but I like the way it sounded. That's like a generic lightsaber swing. There's your red and green doing their thing.
Sound bank selection.
Rancor.
I'll never turn to the dark side.
Is this Showdown? Or maybe Shatterpoint? I think Shatterpoint. I put some fonts on here who
Sound bank selection.
You don't know the power of the dark side.
yeah, I put some fonts on here just because like I filled it up with TLJ and then I was like, I want something kind of close or something a little different than the normal high pitched hum and stuff like that. It gives you focus. Yeah, see? Shoto. Similar to Luke's hero. Come on.
It's a trap!
I mean, because it had It's a Trap on it.
It's a trap!
Sound bank selection.
You don't.
Greetings, Exalted One.
This is K Sith, I think. K Sith's LS6.
Fulfill your destiny. Take your father's place at my side.
Obi-Wan has taught you well.
Whoa. Sometimes it does that. Like, I think for some reason you might miss a power off if you swing it around too much. I feel like the board glitches every now and then. That could be me. But I think that one has... What music do I have on that one? So you can cut it on and then double tap. Oh, I don't have music on that one. Alright.
Sound bank selection.
If you will not turn to the dark side, then perhaps she will.
This is Jesse Kirkbride. So I got this to where I got this kind of worked out to where I can do the hold on.
If you will not turn to the dark side, then perhaps she will.
Now the music comes on. You know what? Oh. Leave my sister alone. Yeah. I mean, you got to. You just got to. I want that breathing in there too, like when he's hurting. That would be cool to have in there. I think somebody does something similar to that. These buttons stick somewhat sometimes because of the rocker. It can be a little much.
Sound bank selection.
But yeah, that's the one thing about this rocker system that's kind of it's tricky. Whenever I try to hit the clash, like the second force wave, usually you press the auxiliary while you're hitting the clash. Because this is a rocker system, like it can be like switching to spectrum mode is actually kind of difficult. You got to kind of learn how to do it, or or if you were just you can't really push both of them at the same time easily because it's kind of a rocker tilt. So sometimes I try to do that clash and it's like Spectrum and I'm like, oh, but that's okay. Jesse Kirkbride, Little Green Friend, I think, is the Yoda one. Again, I put a lot of like, so I mean, there's really only a few Luke Yoda.
I'll never turn to the dark side.
Some Prions and some post-offs, I had to.
Sound bank selection. Audio player.
I'm Luke Skywalker.
You don't.
Let's go with this one.
If you will not turn to the dark side, then perhaps she will.
So, like I was saying earlier, the neopixel part was where I was like, okay, this is going to be tricky. I mean, look how thin that is. Everything. I love how the box is thin. All of it. It's just great. So, blade plug comes out. I ended up shortening it just a little bit. I cut it and I put. Oh, why can't I? There you go. Your other left. I put a 7/8 inch blade stock in there, so there was no chance of a short on the PCB pins. It won't hit, but that was just for me. It fit perfect. And it was like pressure fit in there to where I was like a little extra safety can't hurt. I mean, not hurt anything. So there's your 7-pin from TCSS, and this works really well because this is actually a little bit longer of a blade socket depth than some other thin necks that I have. But what I did was I took the blade connector, like your normal blade connector end for neopixel 1 inch, and I flipped it and I put the neopixel pins on top of that, so it's a flat surface and it's even and they'll line up. So you have like I don't think I have an example somewhere, but yeah, basically it's just like if like the blade like if you made a blade and you had a connector and it was pancaked right here, I took that, flipped it, put the pins to where that's there, so that way the pins from the blade will sit over it, because you gotta eliminate that holder. So like you need, in order to get you can't get like the big thick like normal size like, so I have one close by. I should, yeah. So you can't get like the normal size. I mean, that just takes up like the whole thing. So I had to get crafty with it, and I ended up. That's what I did. I ended up taking the blade holder and putting it under, like in there, and so you only have like a little bit, and it worked out fine. The only thing was I needed to get a blade specially made. I could have done it, but didn't really want to. And my buddy Christian Gale, who you all know as from RGB Custom Sabers, a while ago, like a long time ago, I hit him up, told him about it, because I know he did a neopixel blade for his thin neck. He was one of the first, I think, at least to my knowledge, to do the LS6 in the V2 configuration with Profi board, smooth swing neopixel, and I was just like, alright, you're the guy I need to talk to. So I was like, can you make me a blade? I told him how I was doing it, and he was like, yeah, no problem. So super awesome. And of course Christian's great. Everyone who doesn't know Christian, I mean, you're missing out. Cool dude. So he made me this neopixel blade, and it's recessed just enough. And I mean, this worked out perfectly. I mean, I couldn't have asked for a better blade. And it's bright too. He doesn't, dude. Christian, if you guys are wondering about a blade, neopixel blade, RGB. I mean, Christian makes them. Not sure if JB does. I'm pretty sure he does. Either way, they've got the same system, you know. But I mean, this thing is just bright and beautiful. Slides over, fits in perfectly, And I mean, like I was saying, the one fear I had, there's no shading here. There's no shading. I mean, it's just light from inside the emitter all the way, and it's beautiful. And it's bright. My tip's not secured that well. So a lot of quick ignitions. Love it. Got the hybrid swings, but I have them kind of set to where you really got to kind of swing it, which I kind of like.
I'll never turn to the dark side.
I don't know, man.
Sound bank selection.
That's Ryan Johnson's writing your script. You probably will turn to the dark side. Audio.
Luke Skywalker, Jedi Knight and friend to Captain Solo. I feel the good in you.
Audio player I never really mess with because it's finicky for some reason. Whenever, or not finicky, but like, I guess it's just for display purposes, because if you cut it on when the blade's on, like the blade's a different color, and it's all like when you hit it, it's weird. And then if you got a font specific song, like you go to config file and you put your tracks in that specific font, then you really don't need it because it plays it on the font that you're swinging around. So. Dude, you're a kid, flips, lands. I love that it plays on the whole thing. You can even hear him in the background. Lando screaming for Han and Chewie. And then you can do the whole thing. Oh. That was weird. Maybe my switches are just kind of messed up. I don't know, that was weird. Okay, whatever.
Sound bank selection.
I'm Luke Skywalker, Jedi Knight and friend to Captain Solo.
Your skills are complete.
Indeed, you are powerful.
You are unwise to lower your defense.
That's one of the preons that I was talking about. I mean, I could be a hobo Luke Skywalker. If I really wanted to. What song do I have on here? Oh. Let me turn. You will not turn, perhaps she will.
You are unwise to lower your defense.
Oh, she getting crazy. I forget, if you have a if you have a, that's enough of that. If you have a post off and you're playing a song and you cut off your saber, like, you're just gonna have to sit through that post off, but whatever.
Sound bank selection.
I am a Jedi, like my father before me.
I think this is the alternate LS6, so it has a little weird high-pitched hum. Nope, I was wrong. Wow. You think I know my boards. So nice, though. Gosh, I love it.
selection.
I'll never turn to the dark side.
Yeah, that's that shatter point. Yeah. At the time, I just wanted a bunch of smooth swing fonts on
Soundtrack
there.
selection.
You don't know the pop.
I think this is the one that I'm talking about. This one has... No, this is Shoto. Shoto is close enough. So I was like, I'm cool with that being on there. Most of them are stock from the CFX.
I feel the conflict within you. Let go of your hate.
This is the one. So it's got that little hum in there, and I think you hear it in the throne room. It's a little bit higher pitched, or it's got that high pitch in the background, which is pretty cool. It's bright, man. Oh! Maybe, you know what, maybe it's my font. I think maybe I have it messed up, numbered wrong.
Soundtrack selection.
I think that's what it is. I think maybe I need to go in there and look at
If
it.
you will not turn to the dark side, then perhaps she will.
Like I may just be a goober, because the orientation sometimes in the Crystal Focus, in the previous ones too, depending on how you position the saber or orient it, it's a different ignition. See, some of them are slightly different. Whoop. And I think maybe my power off's one of them, so I labeled it wrong. So I need to go back and look into that. Anyways, that's on me. I kind of stick to the same font anyways, for the most part. For most of these that I have, like, if it's a Canon hilt, I just deck it out with a bunch of stuff, and then, like, you know, a bunch of quotes and a bunch of songs and whatever I can to invoke the movie. And then I just stick to, like, one of the same font, because I'm like, oh, I don't care, I just want that one. So, which is usually this one. Jesse Kirkbride's Return of the Jedi font. I forget what it's called. I'm terrible at font names. Thought I was good. When I'm watching videos, I'm like, of course it's this one. You fool. But then when I'm like sitting here talking about it, I'm like, ah. Anyways, one of my faves, Labor of Love. She was a lot of fun. Alright guys, thanks for listening to me, you know, blabber on about one of my builds. It's fun, I enjoy doing it. Got some more videos coming. Anyways, may the force be with you.